I'm going to review all genre of books. You can stay for more amazing content. This is my introduction stroke first video. The book I'm reviewing today is by Josephine Cox and the title is Born Bad. Let's get right into the sum. This story for me is one of lessons. I say so because of the turn of events that ensued as the characters develop. I'm not spoiling it for you. I need you to get the book and read for yourself. Okay? Harry Blake fell in love with Judy Sanders when he was a boy. He made a decision that drove him from the place he knew and loved. Away, he made a new life. He got married to a kind and beautiful lady called Sarah, and they had a son called Tom. Harry loved his wife, but she wasn't his true love. Sarah knew this. Sarah became terminally ill. She made Harry promise to go back to the town where it all began, the town he knew and loved. He did just that after Sarah's death. He promised her that he was going to find Judy and be happy again. But things never go as we planned them. In Fisher's Hill, Harry sought to look for the woman he once loved and make amends for all that happened in the past. About the characters in this book, I'm going to talk about just 7 of them, even though there were more characters. I'm going to talk about Harry, I'm going to talk about Judy, I'm going to talk about Phil, Alan and Pauline, Nancy, Mark, and then Kathleen. I'll start with Harry Blake. Harry was a loving, forgiving, and responsible man. He loved his family. He would do anything for his family. He was forgiving too. He took the blame, all the blame. He made it look like Judy did nothing wrong and everything else was his fault. Even when Judy lied to him about the baby, he still asked for forgiveness from her. He's very responsible. He takes care of his family. He loved Sarah. He had a son. He loved him too. When he left where he was to Fisher's Hill, he got a job to support Kathleen. There were instances where he wanted to move out of Kathleen's house because he felt he was a burden to the woman, wouldn't let him go. So as a good and responsible man, he got a job to help with the expenses of their home. Judy, I'd say, is a confused character. Confused because you're in a marriage where your husband doesn't love you. It's obvious he doesn't love you because of how he treats you. He beats you. He says all sorts of mean things to you, yet she was still there. People pointed it out to her that which loving husband would do this to you? Anytime they did, she looked or seemed confused. The next time they asked what she's doing, she doesn't even know what is wrong. She was still strong in character. That's what I liked about her, and that was a later development. She acted like a good wife so that Phil Sanders wouldn't beat her, so that Phil Sanders wouldn't suspect Harry Blake was in town, so that Phil Sanders wouldn't know that she got pregnant. And that was the reason Harry left. And then there's Phil Sanders, the brute. I call him the brute in the story. The man was a real brute. He's a thief. He's a liar. He's a drunkard. He's a woman beater. He's a bully. He just beats Judy. He beats his friends too. That's the kind of man he was. At his workplace, they were stealing from the owner. He gets drunk and gets into fights, and he was pivotal in all the bad things that happened in the story. And then there's Pauline and Alan, a husband and a wife. They own a bar. That was where Phil Sanders goes to drink. These two loving people were guardian angels. They did everything for Judy. They wanted the best for her. They wanted her to run away. They wanted her to stay with them. They didn't mind just come and live with us. We'll tell them you don't have a job. Don't stress over that. They wanted the best for Judy. She's confused and she's scared and she's all of that. So they couldn't get her to stay with them. They couldn't get her to run away. They couldn't get her to change her mind fast and move to her family. There were times where Phil Sanders threatened them. These two wouldn't give in to his threats. There's Kathleen O'Leary, the little old Scottish lady. That woman is so loving. She's wise. She's witty. She's protective. You'd love her. You'd love her in this book. It's like she could do no wrong. She did really well, and I love her for that. Then there's Nancy's older sister. I call her judged without knowledge. She judges people when she doesn't know the actual truth about them. She doesn't know the reason they behave the way they do. You know, if you do things different from me, then you're the bad person, you're not worthy. That was the kind of person she was. I realized that she did that not out of bad intent. She felt she needed to protect her family, and that was the best way she could do it. If I had a sister or a brother who I thought did things way differently from how I did my things, I'm not going to treat them so bad. I'm not going to do it. And then there's Mark, the uncle of Nancy and Judy. That man is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's the reason Judy had to go through all the unnecessary things in her life. He's the reason Harry had to leave. He's the reason Judy ended up with Phil Sanders. He's the reason Judy... That man was rich. He was filthy rich. He helped his family. This is a spoiler-free review. I do not want to disclose exactly what happened, why I call him the wolf in sheep's clothing. I do not want to disclose that. So just leave it as it. Something about Josephine Cox is she tackles pivotal societal problems. This book is about abuse. Not exactly about, the whole book is not exactly about abuse. The major themes of the book is abuse. And it goes on, marital abuse, it goes on in our society. It doesn't matter where you live, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in the States, whether you're anywhere you are, it happens. Abuse from family members, rape, other forms of abuse happening. It happens everywhere, and she tackled that. I love that about her, the fact that she wants to use her books or her stories to educate people, to make people aware of the possibilities and the impossibilities in society. That's a good thing she does. This stories of love, you can just feel the love right from chapter 1 of the book to the end of the book. There's friendship, and then there's pain as well. I love the fact that she gives each character the chance to do better. She gives them the chance at a second option. She wants to give you the benefit of the doubt. She wants you to do better as a person. Take Phil Sanders for instance. He did all the bad things. Josephine wanted Phil to become a better person. She did that through the eyes of Judy, some of his friends, through Alan and Pauline, where they kept advising him to do better. In it, they can't just stop doing bad things. One thing about the character development is that it was slow. The characters were developed slowly, but then it was sure. Judy, for instance, the beginning of the book, I hated it. It's like, what kind of dumb human being is this? You are going through all these problems, all this trouble, all this abuse, yet you do not want to leave. If I were in her shoes, I would have left a long time ago. I wouldn't think twice about it, because she had a chance to go out, so she could have gone and then never returned, but then she always came back. And at the end of it, I love the fact that she grew past that. She knew she needed to stay alive. She needed to do that. Took the step. It's very bold of her. You need to read this book. You didn't imagine that was how Judy would eventually leave Phil Sanders. That's how Josephine wants us to see characters. You make bad decisions, but at the end of the day, you move past that. You strive ahead. You want to do better for yourself. Her choice of words, her diction was vivid. She is plain. Josephine Cox is straightforward. She wouldn't mince words. She's trying to educate us. So why is she going to mince words? That was it. Where Phil abused Judy, she wasn't going to mince words. If Phil was hitting her in the stomach, she described it perfectly for you to pick actually voice. I love it so much. Again, Josephine is a queen of suspense. This book is suspense filled. You read the book and you feel like maybe the next chapter I'm just going to know what happened, what eventually happened. There was a win, there was a loss. No, you read the next chapter and it's suspense filled. That is how good she is in writing her books. Let me warn you, if you do not have patience like I do when I'm reading books, then you shouldn't venture any of Josephine's books. Overall, I'm going to give this book a 4.5 star rating, mainly because I spotted a few errors in the book, and this book was published by HarperCollins. You wouldn't expect anything mediocre from top publishers. Yes, you can never have an error-free book. You are definitely going to spot some mistakes. I love the simplicity of the cover. It's just so simple. The name of the author, the title, the picture here speaks volumes of depth. This is a woman standing on a bridge. You do not know whether this bridge is to her freedom or is to her doom. I love that. So there you have it. This is the end of the book review. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give my video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, comment, share. Please do that for me. I'll see you on my next video.